Welcome everyone to Majorfest Day 3. I am your host, Matt Cardona, aka the $1,000 Broski, aka the Michael Jordan of Wrestling Figure Collecting.
And I'm your host, the most professional wrestler, Impact Wrestling superstar, Scottie Pippen of Wrestling Figure Collecting. Brian Myers, what's up, everybody?
I'm also here, producer of the show, Dr. Silver Balls, Smart Mark Sterling, the Phil Jackson of Wrestling Figure Collecting. We got a big show here tonight, guys. Something very different.
There are big time gets. Big gets.
Yeah.
My gets.
Your gets.
Your gets?
My gets.
These are co-gets.
You know, I do all the heavy lifting.
Oh, I texted Mark, hey, can you please set this up? He never did it. I had to do it. Our producer, Mark.
Well, my whole thing was, why is he asking me to do this? He has the information.
It's a lot more professional when the producer comes and asks. You know what I'm saying? We're business now.
But it's not professional when they say, can we do this? And then I go, hold on, let me ask Matt.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Or is it really professional to show up to a big interview like this, barely wearing a shirt?
Well, I'm plugging the merch.
Yeah.
The merch.
So
I'm plugging the merch.
Unreal.
Anyway, guys, we have a big interview with Mattel today, and let's introduce first, coming down the aisle, Corporate Steve Ozer. There he is.
Corporate Steve, he's here. All right.
What's up, Steve?
What's up? Hey, everybody. Majorfest, it's happening. It is on.
The first one ever. Hopefully,
year one. Year one of many, I hope.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm super stoked to be part of Majorfest number 1.
That's right. And his tag team partner coming down the aisle, ravishing Robert Rudman.
Hey,
What's up, everyone? Happy Majorfest.
hey,
I
what's
like
up,
saying
dude?
Rudman way better.
There's the robe.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm wearing the Jeff Hardy chalk line, but what I really need is the Simply Ravishing Rick Rude chalk line jacket. So anyone watching, if you have an L or an XL of that Simply Ravishing chalk line, hit me up.
Well, Robert, I have the shorts, but full disclosure, I free ball in them, so I don't know if you want them.
Oh
No.
my God.
Ball sweat free preferred.
The chalk-line shorts are great for free ball. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, brought to you by Chocolate.
Pro tip.
All right, so guys, we're here. Full disclosure, no script. We have no plan. We just thought we would shoot the SHIT with you guys. You guys are friends of the show. Obviously, you work for Mattel, and we did like a Q&A, I guess like maybe almost 2 years ago, right, Brian?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It's one of our first outside, just me and you talking about toys interview piece, really.
Right.
Yeah, I remember exactly when that was. That was the birth of the Ultimate Edition interview.
Ooh.
That was.
You're right. The Ronda and the Warrior, right, were unveiled that day. We had a little signing, and then we went inside the, I guess that lounge in the corporate headquarters.
Yeah, Bill's Lounge.
Yeah, with Bill's massage chairs.
Bill's massage chairs everywhere, so we know how he's got the
Bill couldn't make it today, guys.
No, sorry, Bill.
The invite got lost in the mail.
Right.
But guys,
I heard his dial-up is down, so unfortunately he couldn't log in.
No, we love Bill. But let's bring everybody up to speed, real quick, a condensed version. What made you guys get into the action figure business?
Ooh.
Rob, you
Steve looks like he can't condense that answer, but
no,
okay.
I've told the story a couple times, so I'll let Rob have the spotlight first here. He has a very interesting story, so
Yeah,
Rob.
I think that I'm actually the longest tenured one on the team in the industry. So I started out my career 20 some odd years ago over at Diamond Comic Distributors, which is one of the sister companies of Diamond Select Toys. You guys collect some of their products, and then moved out to LA, worked for a few smaller toy companies, worked for Jax when Jeremy was there. So that's how I initially met Jeremy at the very tail end of.
Can I put that break right there?
Are you responsible?
We only refer to him as the Godfather in this show. So please go by his
The Godfather at the very tail end of the Godfather's.
Wait, so you are responsible for those ruthless aggressions in Deca?
Rob is actually responsible for the naked Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Secret.
Yeah, you know what?
Revealed.
This whole interview's canceled. Let's just talk about Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
and then after Jax, like once Jax lost the WWE license, like at the time, those were known as WWE or WWF Jax figures. Like I remember looking at Ecom, and even when it was with Mattel in those early days, they were still calling them Jax figures online. They had the license for like a decade, right?
14 years or something. Yeah, 14 years.
Yeah. After bouncing around a little bit, I eventually came to Mattel. Didn't start in the action figure aisle. It actually started on a part-time like maternity leave position. But I'm the type of person where I'm like, just let me get my foot in the door and I'll prove to you my value, and then I'll make my way where I want to go. Like keep my eyes set on the prize, you know?
And if you could get to, you know, we've talked about it before. We talked about it, you know, when I had you on my Twitch interview and all that stuff. But what is it that you actually do now for Mattel as well?
So my title is senior copywriter, but nobody knows what that is.
Hey, we know.
You guys didn't know what copy was until I had to correct you a couple.
It's not copyright, like trademark. That's not what we're talking about here.
It is not.
We know, and I will say this: since meeting you, I always make a point. No matter what Mattel I buy, I read the copy.
How do you like it?
Throw the packaging out, but I always make a point to read it. Yeah.
To me, it's like writing copy for packaging, especially something like this brand. It's kind of like the bass in a rock song. Like you might not like with the product is the lead singer and the packaging is the drum that keeps it all together. But the bass, the part that you don't necessarily hear, but the glue that keeps it all together and adds that little extra beat to it. That's the copy.
Wow, what an analogy! Holy smokes!
I love it.
Great. So essentially, it's like the voice of the brand. With WWE, you have so many announcers, and when the guys are backstage cutting their promos, they say so many memorable things that it's just trying to capture that voice. And as a lifelong fan of wrestling, you know, especially as we do like these flashbacks and stuff like that, it makes my job fun and easy. But it's not just packaging. It's you guys talked about a couple of times that long script that you had to memorize when you hosted our Comic-Con panel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you asked Steve, who wrote this? Because it actually sounds like us.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Rob, and you guys were like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, Rob touches everything on the brand practically that the consumers see. You know, the Motu Mini comics, the Comic-Con scripts. If you see a superstar cutting a promo on an action figure, Rob was involved. He's invaluable, and to me, as an action figure fan, the best in the business. Period.
Oh, hey, wow,
look at that. That's an endorsement.
Yeah, an endorsement.
I take a lot of pride in my work, but I don't just get to do that because of my love of action figures. And, you know, you guys have talked about, like, at Comic-Con or at Access, the dioramas that we have and how, you know, that's a project that I get to do to set up all of those scenes. And it's even appeared on some of our packaging photos. So whenever we do, like, a ring packaging, the Raw main event ring or the SmackDown main event ring with all those guys posed out, some of the elite commercials that we do when the guys are in signature poses, I get to be a part of pulling that in to really capture those signature poses. So I guess that what I'm trying to say is title does not always dictate behavior. So
I personally love at Access and Comic-Con those giant displays, and every couple of days you switch it up a little bit and there's some Easter eggs hidden. And that explains why all your figures have no stands in the background, because you're a pro.
I'm like
playing them.
Yeah, every single one of these guys are either, and I even got like a few that are in there, like not just like posed out stiff. I try to capture the the signature poses.
My OCD would just be going off like I'd be like patrolling like every 15 minutes if nobody's down. Okay.
The other night,
I'd be losing my mind.
The other night, no joke, we heard like a crash in my toy room. I went in, like some of my turtles just fell over, like Splinter fell over, which knocked over a Krang, which knocked over. It's like, oh my god! But it's like just gonna happen.
Well, this is a loft, so it's like, so down there is the main room, and then we have a ladder that can be pulled up. And whenever that ladder goes down, the door has to be closed, because if the cats get inside of the room, which they did the other day, and knocked down the bottom shelf of all my Legends figures. Which
my God, that is horrifying.
You know what one of the nightmares is? When we return from like Christmas break to the office, which we haven't done this year, but you know, when we typically do that, and they clean everything, like a deep cleaning, and like all of our displays, like Rob's, are just like,
oh
on the floor and everything.
man. Well, McKenna probably needed that, so it's fine.
Yeah, the Zack Ryder shrine in his cube.
Is it a shrine, or is it like, what's that thing where you like
voodoo doll?
That doll?
Yeah, the voodoo doll, Broski. Yeah.
Dude, it is a shrine. Let me tell you, multiples of the same figures. Like, it's the sight to behold.
Well, Bill, if you're watching, if you're listening, I love you. We'll have you on eventually. Just there's too many people on the screen right now.
Hey, I appreciate it. You know what? Well, Bill has got how many shirts? He's got 3, 4, 5 shirts. I've got my face in the crowd on that poster, and that's my one piece of merch. And that's
nice.
Free.
That's
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, has anybody hit you up to sign that yet?
Have you ever signed one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really? Where, Rob?
Yeah.
Someone when it got out, someone reached out and said, "Can I mail it to you and have you guys sign it?"
Wow, that's rare. That's
Because
rare.
we were doing something that somebody could get everyone that I'd give them $1,000, but then the pandemic hit, so it was a lot harder to get it done.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was expecting to get hit up at Access and Comic-Con, and obviously, you know,
the
world fell apart.
Rob, before we get Steve's story, the other thing that I did want to say on this too, because I love it, is you had a hand in creating those Masters comic books. We talk about the packaging, but that's my favorite thing that you do. Those you get a little comic book for each character, and they're so cool.
Did you write the commercial where John Cohn's our father?
No, that was one. That was one that. I don't think so, right? See, that was I
enjoyed it. I'm just asking.
I had a hand in the retro one. I think like that one was like
that was like a thrill too. That's like one of the
well, you wrote that note. Do not let Zach and Kurt take these figures home.
It was Rob. I can confirm that it was Rob.
That's not a joke, by the way, for people listening. That really happened.
We only had one. We only had the one.
I think it was like
we didn't even shoot it. We didn't even shoot it for promotional photos yet. You got to see it first.
Home, and then it said, "Don't take off Goldust wig." So what? Of course, I took off the wig. I needed to see what's underneath. You can't tell a kid
all the paint peels off his head as you pull it off.
I wanted to see. Did they paint his ears or not? I want to know.
I get to do the comics on the Masters WWE as well as the core Masters, because kids' dream come true. It's not just WWE that I get to work on. It's also Masters of the Universe. So, you know, I always say rewind time, go back down to 8-year-old me and tell them, hey, you're going to grow up and you're going to be writing you're going to be writing for wrestling figures and for He-Man. I'd be like, I'm perfectly fine with growing up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let me give Rob just a little more credit. Rob, actually, you guys are familiar with Beast Mode, right? I know Brian, you definitely are. Rob created the concept for Beast Mode.
Oh, okay, wow! Like from scratch, it was just something you just came up with.
Yep, I remember the day he came to my cube and he pitched it to me, and it was really fun. And you know, things progressed.
Tell me if this is correct or not. I heard that he saw Bill just getting really, really angry about something. And he's like, "I have this idea for a figure." Yeah, so laid back Bill that beats
and there was another shirt underneath.
Bill rips off layers instead of like growing a layer. Yeah,
it was inspired by the layers of McKenna. That makes sense.
Okay, Steve, what was your story?
Oh man, you know, lifelong fan of pop culture and toys, action figures, collecting, and WWE, my number one pop culture love, and always wanted to do something with it. But you know, my mom, I'm Asian, Vietnamese. My mom pushing me to do something like be a doctor or do something with computers. So in college, I pursued computer science, and I absolutely hated it. And I just hit a breaking point where I was like, these other people seem to love it, and I hate it, and I can't imagine spending a lifetime doing this. So I took a little break to try to find myself. And I immediately went to at Toys R Us when I initially dropped out and just bought every Jakks BCA figure that they had, like one of each character, and just like totally like dove into collecting hardcore. There was only probably like a 2-year period in high school when I didn't collect anything. So, at that moment, all in again, all in collecting, and paying attention to the business very closely. And then, I started to see, fortunately for me, there were a couple open people in the industry like Ken Lilly with Palisades, if anyone remembers that old company.
They made the Muppets, right?
Yep, the Palisades Muppets. Very transparent about how the industry worked and whatnot. So I want to give him a lot of credit. He's an unsung hero. And then, of course, Jeremy. Jeremy's so transparent.
The Godfather.
The Godfather, so good. And I've told him he's like my unknown mentor. Like, I studied what he did, and I pattern myself and what I do on the line after, the trails that he blazed. And then, Scott Knightlick, toy guru at Matty Collector, very, very in the public eye and transparent as much as he could be with collectors. I saw these guys. I was like, if they're doing it, I can do this, and I want to do this, and I want to represent, fandom and collectors inside the industry. So I went back to school and got a business degree. And then worked at Coca-Cola for a little bit on Honest Tea and Zico Coconut Water, doing marketing.
Thanks for that Honest Tea, by the way, Steve.
Yes. Me and Matt go way back. I used to deliver Honest Tea to him for marketing. I forgot. Wow. Yes. In New Orleans. Okay. Side story. In New Orleans, WrestleMania 30, I think, was happening, and we went down to do the marketing stuff in New Orleans. So we give him a lot, like way too much.
So you gave me enough Honest Tea for the whole roster for the whole week. That's how much Honest Tea was in my hotel room. My parents were in heaven with all this free Honest Tea.
We had to justify the trip from Orlando to New Orleans.
What the heck?
So anyway,
cases and cases of tea.
Yeah, so we drop off this tea there. We're in the hotel, we're leaving, and we see Ric Flair like marching towards the front desk, and we're like, "Oh, cool, Ric Flair." We're just watching. We don't want to bother anybody. And Rick goes, excuse me, where's the main bar? And me and my partner are just like laughing hysterically. Of course, that's what we hear Ric Flair say, like classic.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so me and Matt go back to the Honest Tea days.
I never heard that one, guys. Whoa.
Oh, man. I used to, Long Beach, bringing an Honest Tea to the beach. Nice cold Honest Tea. Oh, it's the best.
We're getting off track here. I'm also...
by the way, this interview is sponsored by Honest Tea, right?
Yeah. Is Honest Tea still a company?
It is.
Okay.
We might have to back up. I'm still stuck on what the hell is computer science?
Oh, it's boring.
It's just like
programming language, like
explains so much.
What about Steve buying boat crunches in college? Steve, you were great. Oh my God,
there's a lot of big hits
fountain of youth, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah.
DDP Yoga, it's doing it.
Another plug.
Also sponsored by DDP Yoga.
Right, I used to give him Honest Tea too.
What a podcast here,
right? So anyway, the opportunity came up in San Diego to work on Zico Coconut Water, same, Coca-Cola company. And I jumped on it because I knew I wanted to get into Mattel. Obviously WWE would have been the goal, but I would have taken anything, Barbie, Hot Wheels, Master of the Universe, like whatever. And then it so happened that during my time at Zico, Dave Jackson, who jumped over for a bit to Zico, and they were like, and they were like, "Hey, Steve, you got to talk to Dave. Like he worked at Mattel." And I talked to Dave, and he's like, "Yeah, I worked on WWE." And my mind was blown. And I'm like, just hitting him up for asking him questions, and he was so nice to me. He left shortly thereafter, went back to Mattel on the WWE brand, and we stayed in contact. And then, his course, ran through WWE at Mattel. He was ready to move on to something else. And he texted me. He said, "Hey, I'm leaving. Would you still be interested in working on WWE at Mattel?" And I was like, "Of course. Hell yeah." So he helped me pass my resume on, and they interviewed me. And, thank God. I got the job.
What a good brother! Wow.
I love Dave Jackson so much. He's an amazing person. Working with him was incredible. When he left the team, it was really sad because it's like, who's going to replace Dave? Dave loves he loves wrestling. He loves figures, and then he handpicked Steve. and it was.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we got, and then thank God that we did, because Steve really is everything that you guys love about how the releases are coming out, the way that lineups are stacked, fighting for those really rare figures. Steve Steve doesn't get nearly enough credit for all of the time and energy that he puts in. Dave Jackson did us a service, because if he didn't bring Steve on, then I don't know the line definitely wouldn't be where it's at today, which is like, we're firing on all cylinders now. And that's because of Steve Ozer.
Oh, shucks.
And then Steve, your official title and job is
associate marketing manager. And I say that's deceiving, because it's really brand manager, right? Manage the brand. I manage a lot of the collector lines, elites, ultimates, legends currently, masters, basics 2-pack. So it's managing them from a business standpoint, making sure, Mattel meets all its goals that we commit to WWE, ensuring the product, comes in on time and at cost. Obviously working with design and development to make sure those things happen. But it's definitely a business driven role. And I think marketing might think like I do advertising and, promote the line, which I do, but it's really just making sure we're hitting our financial goals. And to me, part of that is delivering to collectors and the consumers what they want.
Got it. Nice. I have a very important
But one last thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I gave props to Ken Lilly and Scott Knightlake, Dave Jackson. Thank you, Dave Jackson.
Real quick, Dave Jackson's story. I guess it's right before he left. It was the Comic-Con. We all went out drinking one night, and Dave Jackson is telling Brian and I, or maybe Brian wasn't even there. Maybe he was just telling me like all these new reveals that weren't even revealed at Comic-Con, like past Comic-Con, and Bill's in the corner sweating, furious, so mad. He's telling me all these things, and Bill was so angry. But I love it.
That's great.
Had to share that. Okay, sorry.
Great guy. I owe him a lot.
Real quick one final word on Dave. Dave Jackson is one of those guys where if you don't like Dave, it says something a lot more about your character than about him.
Sure. Yeah, anytime I've been around, he's been super cool, so friendly.
Yeah, he's the man.
All right, let's talk about now. You guys just talked about your career at Mattel, but what else do you collect? I mean, you're both collectors. You can see it behind you. What do you guys collect, and what are your rules? I know you definitely have Mattel figures, but what else?
Do you want? I'll probably. Why don't I go first, because I didn't know that Steve's is going to be a lot longer.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Rob.
I'm a huge fan of like the contemporary 6-inch scale. So a lot of stuff I grew up with. I started out in Diamond Comic Distributors, so comic books are very deeply ingrained to my fandom. So DC, Marvel. I'm a huge Legends collector. Looking at it now, I'm getting in on like the new Joes. Just like you've been talking about, Mark. A lot of the new Hasbro action figures have really been firing on all cylinders. I think that's the second time I use that today. So
that's
fine. A new t-shirt.
And then Black Series, but I had to limit down my Black Series to specific roles. So as opposed to having full setups of movies or eras, I have a Jedi, Sith, and Mandalorian, but not the show Mandalorian. They have to be in Mandalorian or Mandalorian armor.
Got it.
So Mando, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, all that stuff. So yeah, a lot of the 6-inch scales, and then of course the stuff that I work on, the new AEW wrestling figures.
What about boxes?
I've got 2 kids, so,
yeah.
so I'd love to like get in on that NECA stuff, but
right,
man.
I like collecting through Brian's the same way. You can collect through your kids, the stuff that maybe you don't want to get, but you can get it for them. But so it's great. But wait, Robert, do you collect the boxes since you write the stuff on the boxes? Do you hold on to them?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Some of them. I don't hold on to everything in box, but the stuff that either I like, or I just have a good memory of I like. But in general, as you can see, I'm really a let them breathe guy.
That's right.
Like I love having the figure in hand. I love posing
Right.
around.
Yeah.
Right now on our dining room table, my kids are really getting into figures now, especially wrestling figures.
Cool.
Nice.
So I have my coffee and breakfast in the morning, and like this morning I had like a Jericho putting Sin Cara in a Lion Tamer.
That happened one time on a tour. Not in the ring though, on the bus.
Yeah.
Legendary story, yeah. And Finn, who's my 4-year-old, he comes down. He not only loves like smashing them together, but he lines them up and he tries to pose them out. He's like really proud. He's like, "Look, Daddy, look!" And the wrestlers are just like, they're in like poses like this. But he's so proud of the fact that it's like he comes up here and he sees this, and this is kind of how he wants to do it. So the way that I see it, I'm passing down this love of action figures at a very early age to these kids.
I was looking at Mackenzie's figures the other day, her wrestling bin, and I was going through them, and she's the same way, like kind of just smashes them. But she's actually made some improvements to her Zack Ryder figure because she smashes so much. Now there's kind of skin-colored pieces coming through the top of his head. So it's a little more accurate. It's kind of
I don't understand the reference, Brian. I don't get it.
Okay, Steve, what's your story about
it? I love that the story of your kids posing. I have the opposite story. When I was really young, I would go to bed and leave whatever I was playing with out on the coffee table, and I would come down, and my dad would have attempted to pose them all, and they were all like standing up, and he was so proud of himself, and they were all janky, you know what I mean? Like, but he was just like so proud he got him to stand up. But as far as like my collecting habits, like so much. Yeah, practically everything. Like, I love pop culture so much. WWE, wrestling in general, always number one. If I had to give everything else up, I would still stick to wrestling. But aside from that, it's like the vintage stuff. I have put a hold on it because, I've told you guys before, I had stuff in storage for the longest time, so I kind of mentally lost track of what I had, like Hasbro's, which kills me because they've gone up in price so much. But I'm just missing a couple, and I don't remember what I'm missing. And I'm praying that I have the mail away Hogan.
Oh my God.
What I've been loving in our little chat group that we have going on is every now and again recently, Steve has been like, "Look what I found in my."
I know. It's like Christmas every other day for Steve. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a loose collector. It's deceiving to see this behind me, but this is like special stuff that I worked on and means a lot, and I fought for. Like there's like long stories behind a lot of the stuff that I keep in package. But I open everything. I'm looking at like dozens and dozens of totes, and we talked about archive bags before and Ziploc bags. They're all bagged up with
I was gonna ask, you gotta Ziploc them if you're toting them up, 100%. Yeah. Sam Roberts said, I've seen some of Bill's no Ziploc.
Bill's a no Ziploc guy.
Bill might put like 15 figures
like
in a
Ziploc.
I'm trying to teach my kids that too in their toy bins. Every single figure has to go back into the bag when they're done playing.
Wow,
100%.
I mean, but there's lessons learned there, because I didn't always do that. I would at one point I stood them up in boxes, so they were like army style in boxes, and they kind of stayed. But then sometimes they would stick together, and you take them out, and the paint peels off. So a lot of lessons learned over time, and some of those old Jax figures,
Bone Crunchers, forget about it, man.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they haven't lasted, but yeah, Star Wars, DC, Marvel, NECA figures, Turtles.
You don't have like any rules then, really. It's really the Wild Wild West.
I'm making rules as I go. I mean, when I'm in, like, I want to be all in, right? I want to world build something. Like, my imagination goes wild of what I could do photography wise or posing wise, with a line. So I like being able to go all in, but I am trying to get restrictive now because it's just too much. It's past the breaking point. So like Marvel Legends as an example, like I'm really on the fence over this new Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse wave. It looks phenomenal. I love the figures. I love the movies, but do I need those? So I'm like thinking like maybe I stick to classic characters, classic renditions of characters only for Marvel. So I'm trying to set up some guidelines for myself now.
And Steve definitely doesn't need those stilts that come with the hand figures. So
if I buy the wave, I'm getting more stilts.
Wow.
Wait.
Brian's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Wow.
Still,
my stilt man is touching the ceiling if I buy that wave.
So there's a
I don't know. Is that a character?
He's
Yes.
like in armor,
I
and
don't
his
know.
power is armor that he just his legs grow essentially, and the figure has just got stilts that have him built. And when they showed it, the guy built it until it was basically
So how many inches?
6 feet tall. Yeah.
I mean, if you buy enough of the leg figure, then you could make it as tall as you want.
He's the Build-A-Figure, and the Build-A-Figure parts come with a ninja, which is an army builder. So you can just buy as many ninjas as you want and get leg extensions and have them, 15 feet tall if you want to.
It's pretty cool.
Wow.
It's a great idea.
That's pretty cool.
I think
actually.
one of the greatest things about collecting is that there are no rules. We can make our own rules.
Yeah.
All 5 of us have unique collections with unique rules, and that's the beauty of it. And we can change those rules whenever we want.
Yep.
Mhm.
There's no.
Matt, I'm going to call you out. There's been so many times I've texted you about something and you've been like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And then like 3 weeks later, you're posting, look what I did, everyone.
That's the story of his life.
I just got into that with the vintage collection Star Wars because Mark kind of bullied me into it. And like I have, and I'm a psycho. So like I'm not trying to complete the whole vintage collection. And the whole vintage collection is so we're not going to get into it, but it's very, very confusing line. But in like a month, I have over 100 of them. I'm like, what am I doing with these? I
can't wait. I can't wait for when you try to get active roster guys that you worked with.
No, that I will not do. That I will not do.
Let me tell you, I love what you're doing with the Fig Fed now because it gives things a whole new purpose, right?
Right.
I mean, we're hoarding, right? We're hoarders. We hoard this stuff. We buy so much, but action figure photography, Fig Feds, like all this extra tertiary stuff that we're all doing now gives this stuff like new meaning and new purpose. And like, I'm going to tell you, before I started at Mattel, like I was like, what am I doing? Like I have all this stuff. It's accumulating. Like I can't even display. I had shelves like this, like surrounding like an entire room when I lived in Florida. And I'm like, I have more than I could possibly ever display, right? Mm-hmm. And when I started doing action figure photography, I was like, okay, I can bin them. I can keep buying new things because there's purpose now. And I'm having ideas. It's a creative outlet. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, like this Hulk Hogan motorcycle that I thought was absolute garbage. Now it's like a big part of my Fig Fed, or even like the Stomp figures, which we thought were garbage. We turned it into the Stomp in Paradise thing.
Yeah, but for the record, I never thought those were garbage. I
thought they were garbage. But
the thing that I love about it is like you have so many fond memories. Like I have fond memories of when I was a kid building out tournaments. I would have so many. I used to just like write down stats in paper if I didn't have enough figures, just to kind of like get the idea in my head out. And you guys have like reinvented this for an adult audience in a way that's acceptable. That's making people play with their toys again.
And that's really what it is.
I just like that it's acceptable. I just like that we've made it acceptable. You know, it's not like I felt for so much of my adult life I was hiding that I loved toys still, you know? Yeah. And now it's not like that at all anywhere. You know, people
going into Toys R Us asking for a gift receipt because I didn't want the cashier to know I was buying a figure. Like, who the F cares, you know?
Yeah.
The cashier asking, is this for you? Like, how many times have you heard that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, now it's gone flip side where you go into a Target and they say only one per customer. They have signs up at the cashiers to kind of prevent people from fig hoarding and reselling.
Yeah, totally.
And let's get into the WWE figures for a second, because there is no denying, as much as I love Hasbro's, LJNs, Jakks, Mattel figures, the Elite figures, the Ultimates, the best wrestling figures of all time. There is no debate. Like there is just no debate over 10 years now of making these amazing figures, which I'll admit in the beginning I didn't get because I was heartbroken that Jakks lost the license. I was like, I'm not doing it. And then a couple years ago when I was out with a knee injury, I just like broke down and started buying all the legends and all the classics. Thank God I did then, because now I don't buy these things for value, but a lot of these things have a lot of value. So I'm glad that I'm all caught up. And it's like one of the biggest parts of my toy room is the Mattel section. And I have my rules. I just do old school guys, but the amount of old school guys, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of figures. So for someone like me, that's great. But then if there's someone who wants current guys, like that's what I'm saying. Like there's so many ways to collect. And I think Mattel does a great job of, getting all different audiences, kids, adults, collectors, players, whatever.
I agree.
Well, let me just add on to that before you guys do the real piece of business. But for me, what I love is that Mattel's never wavered in 10 years. Like, these guys are all uniform in scale. Like, that's what's really made the line special to me, because all other wrestling lines in the history, whatever, as much as we love them, LJN's was like barely, 4 or 5 years, Bone Crunchers is 3 years ish. You know what I mean? So this is like truly like you've built this like this everlasting like empire of wrestling figures, and obviously the quality speaks for itself. But that to me is the best part.
Right, like you walk into my toy room and like Mattel has the most real estate because they make the best figures. It's like Hasbro has like 90 figures, 100 figures. Like Mattel has made so many figures, and yeah, there's some that I tote and they don't make the cut for display. But there's so like, do I need 10 Shawn Michaels on display? No. And then I'm going to cut. I'm like, well, this one's great. This one's great too. This one's great. So it's really hard because the figures are so good.
I'm like turning around to see how many Shawn Michaels I have on display.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
I have a lot. But he's also one of my favorites. So, yeah.
Something I did. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead, Steve.
Something I adopted when I ran out of space in my old Orlando house was I started rotating them out like regularly. Like I actually had at one point I had everything I could possibly fit jammed in. Like I had Jack's shelves like to the brim where they're about to pour off the shelf. I was like, this sucks. Like I don't want to do this. So it just didn't look good at a point. Like once you pass that threshold, it doesn't look good anymore.
Well, what I mean? You can't see who's past row 2. You can't see. And I don't even know who's past row 2.
I just installed my new lights. I got risers. I can see everybody's great.
See, the risers are perfect, but I decided to do risers and strip it down, and then like I would just change out. Okay, enough of this HBK. Time for a new one, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, I'm with Steve. Quick question I was thinking about. So, obviously I've had a lot of Mattels, and I just recently got into the Marvel Legends as we mentioned. And, the difference between those kinds of figures, the Marvel Legends, very posable, easy to pose and stuff. But one day I was thinking, and this is a question, is it possible that like, the Mattel wrestling figures are very hardy and hefty and feel a little heavier? And is that because they're a toy that's meant to be played with? And I feel like if a kid took Marvel Legends and played with it like a wrestling figure, it would break in half in 2 seconds. So is that something that goes through the design process of making these?
The quality of the plastic?
They have, I think that everything in the industry has got, you have to have quality control, because at the end of the day, all of these are age tested, I believe, at 3+. So they need to be age tested in order to so that way if a 3-year-old handles it, it's not going to break. Even though the Marvel plastic, especially I think the new ones, like those female legs are pretty rubbery, right? And even though our figures are, it says 6+ on the package for basics, 8+ for elites and ultimates. All of that is, it's basically, it's a marketing call to tell people that this is for a little bit of an older audience. So that way it's not with like the, you see like Paw Patrol for like 3+ or something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I just looked at a Marvel figure. It says 4+. So yeah, I think it's just age testing, right? Like we test a little younger. So that probably gives us a more resilient plastic that we use feel construction.
I think that Hasbro does the same thing. I think because they have so this was from my Jax days. So when I was in Jax, I worked in the legal department as their copywriter. So I've got a little bit of that like legal know-how in the toy industry. So if you see something that has a choking hazard label on it, that means that it was labeled at 3+. Anything tested higher than that, if it doesn't need that. It doesn't need a choking hazard label. So I think that they age test at 3+, and then they market it at 4+. I think that's just kind of the way they go things. As far as like the plastic difference, I think that just comes down to the factories. All different figures feel completely different depending on the company. I think that like the NECA, right? NECAs look beautiful, but how many people pulled out that Marty McFly and it's like, whoop.
That's crazy.
They're having the line. I'll admit, I love NECA, but
Robert,
you gotta boil those joints.
Robert, if you were in the legal department that time, did you field the phone call from Taz when you made him in a muumuu?
Rob is also responsible for that. He was like, "We gotta do Taz in a muumuu, guys. We gotta."
But when I worked for Diamond, the sales rep across from me was on regular phone calls with Raven, because that was around the time that a certain Spider-Man story about the wrestler who wrestled Spider-Man before he actually became Spider-Man was written.
Bonesaw.
It was in Amazing Tales or something like that, written by a certain Scott Levy.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So he was on the phone with him pretty regularly. I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, Raven.
Whoa. I'd be like, whoa. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's awesome. All right. So, hey, Major
What
Fest.
about me? What about Robert?
Oh my God.
So here we are, Major Fest, right? And we're planning this week of events. And I say to the guys, why not? Why can't we get some news? Why can't we get some reveals, right? So let's get down to business. In this stream, guys, we've got some news for you from the Mattel offices, and Steve and Robert are going to deliver that. And I understand first, Steve, you've got some stuff in hand you want to show us, right?
Ooh.
Well, ask and ye shall receive. We revealed an amazing figure back at San Diego Comic-Con, I want to say, but not in its entirety. We revealed Ultimate Edition Macho Man, and a lot of times when we show these renders, we can't include soft goods because it's just a digital rendering, and the soft goods is a different process. So I don't actually have it in hand, but Robert does. We are going to debut the Ultimate Edition Macho Man jacket to the world right now.
Hold on, Steve, I thought you were going to send Mark an image. No,
we have images.
I'm impressed with that.
This is
Wow.
a thing of beauty.
Cool.
It's got the leatherette here. This is the back.
That's his fourth Hasbro. Man. Yeah. Oh
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, on the front.
This was a Steve Ozer passion project. So it's like, I know we know this from Saturday Night's Main Event, but for the toy fan, I think that Steve was really pushing for this one. Here, let me get it on my fingers here so people can have.
Let me give some historical context on the jacket, because I read the comments. Everyone obviously has what they're pushing for and what they love. Not only is it important because it was that Hasbro figure, which was so prevalent and memorable, but that Saturday night's main event was really an important event. Like Macho Man, it was a blow-off feud between a great feud of Macho Man and Jake. No doubt. We remember that entire feud, the snake bite and the wedding and everything else. Yeah. But also, it set up Randy to win the title at the following WrestleMania from Ric Flair. Undertaker turned face. It was very historically significant. And that jacket just appeared across promotional photos.
There's a lot of photos, I feel like. Yeah.
Practically the entire year.
Isn't it like a WrestleMania 8 poster he's wearing it?
Yeah.
Something similar, at least?
Yeah. So I felt it had to be made. When we were looking at Neon Cowboy Macho Men, it was either the orange and black, which was in a lot of promo photos, or this one, and we landed on this one.
Man, I'm excited. I got to figure out where that's going to go now.
And he's a perfect guy for the Ultimate line. Like when you think of Ultimate line, you think of someone colorful, a lot of outfits, a lot of expression.
It'd be cool to get some, I don't know what the deal is, but maybe some hands.
Oh, there are going to be hands. There's always going to be hands with
holding the creamer.
It could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah,
it's not like we don't recite that on a weekly basis.
Yeah. All right, so not to
one more quick thing about the Ultimate Macho Man, because I don't remember if this was discussed at Comic-Con, but even though he's got the top with the fringes, it does have the butterfly joints too. So for a little bit more posability, all the Ultimates are getting butterfly joints, including that Macho Man, which will fit nicely over this beautiful jacket.
I like it.
Okay, so for the next reveal, I'm very excited about this. I know about it. Nobody else does. But we have to bring in another guest here. Okay. So let's bring her in. Hello.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
Hi,
hey. It's WWE superstar Chelsea Green.
Oh, hi.
What's up, Chelsea? How are you?
What's going on here?
Surprise,
Hey,
Matt.
Chelsea, long time.
You guys are going to get married live here at Majorfest.
Surprise! Robert's officiating.
Robert's the ordained minister.
I'm going to get my license just to marry you guys.
Yeah.
I will say, babe, as a broadcast journalist, I'm a little offended you're going vertical, not horizontal. It's okay. Don't switch it now. I'll mess it up. It's fine.
Okay.
I think you could just do it, right?
If you just turn it, will it turn?
Go like this. Oh.
There we go.
I always do that, and he always gets mad at me.
Yeah. You're just
All right, so
making an
Chelsea doesn't
Instagram
know
story.
why she's here. But take it away, Steve.
Well, we wanted to do something special for the major marks and reveal a figure that is, relevant and special and important to them. So with that, we are showing you guys first time in the line, Chelsea Green coming a little bit later this year to the
I got
basic.
goosebumps right now. This is crazy.
Look at her! Look how cute she is! Look at her
Congratulations,
hair.
Chelsea. Your
Wow.
first figure. So full disclosure, complete transparency. I think that I speak for Steve also. Like, we do a lot of figures. This was the one that I was most nervous for and had the most eyes on because it was so important. Like, we adore Chelsea. We're all a member of this major family. And we wanted to make sure that her first figure looked fantastic. The boots have got the new sculpt. The hair looks super voluminous. I think it's a really, really nice looking figure. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, you guys, she's amazing.
We're so glad you like it.
Crazy. I can't wait to show my mom.
I've been shocked. I didn't know any of this was going on. This is in my own house.
Yes.
She's in my kitchen, our kitchen, man, our kitchen.
I did not know this was going on either. I just knew that I was coming in here. I thought I was surprising you and making fun of you. I didn't know this was a surprise.
All right.
I'm glad we could surprise both of you. We figured that this was going to be a very meaningful figure. We knew we were going to be on here. And we couldn't reveal your figure, Chelsea, without actually saying we have to get her on here so we can see her reaction to having this. So
I love her so much, and I'm gonna make Matt buy 30 of them, like he buys of himself.
I'm sure you really have to twist his arm on that one.
He's getting ready to pre-order right now.
In our ridiculously packed garage, you guys.
That's right.
She's amazing, and the hair.
it looks great. Yeah, the hair looks like really, it really got that nice conditioned volume going on.
Ooh.
I love it. And the boots, the high boots, you guys, I can't wait to see it in person.
Chelsea, where did you wear this particular gear set? Do you remember at all?
It was one of my NXT matches, but it was the gear that got the most, like, I didn't like it, and then I wore it out there, and everyone said something to me about it, and I changed my mind, and it became my favorite gear. So it's funny that you guys chose that one too, because I totally thought it was like very underrated, and then I received so many compliments on it.
I think that looks stunning. I think that the lavender really pops on it. I think it's going to be a great figure in 3D.
I wonder if it fits in that Undertaker bone crunching coffin
with a ring.
Oh, yeah. Man. Also, Chelsea, did you change your phone number? Because I text somebody about surprising Matt, and the last text I had from you was, "I'm telling Matt I'm going to kill him. I'm standing around in a Princess Leia outfit."
All right, guys. We don't. Enough Barry and Broski here.
So some stranger got that message, but
I will send you my new number. God forbid I have to dress up again, and he doesn't answer.
And I'm sure you will. So that'd be a good idea.
Before Chelsea leaves, is something related or something you want to say?
So thanks for sticking around, because this was in NXT, and your first time in the line figure. So it deserves another first time in the line figure. This was during the time when you were on the Robert Stone brand. So in order to make this so important, we are going to reintroduce a first time in the line. Another Chelsea Green.
Whoa!
This is BS.
Basic way. It doesn't matter what way it's in. It's a Chelsea Green.
It's the Robert Rudman brand.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
I'm shaking with anger over here. I'm kidding. I got goosebumps. This is great, even on my legs.
And that's my favorite gear ever.
Oh, awesome!
Wow.
That's
best.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Look at the detail too.
So just to be clear, this is the chase, or
Steve, can you?
Sure.
Take it away, Steve.
I just write this stuff.
I think this is the chase. I think the black ear is the chase. If I'm wrong, please don't be too harsh on me. But I think the black
pictures
ear
you sent me, this says Chase on it. So.
There you go. There you go.
Wow.
But Chelsea, congratulations. 2 figures out of the gate for you. 1 regular, 1 chase. We're super proud and super happy. And this is always one of our favorite parts of the job is getting to see, reactions from you guys when you get your first figures. So I'm so relieved you're happy with this.
I love them so much. And I was actually just talking to Matt last night about meeting you guys when I was on the Indies. And chatting with you guys, and it's just so crazy that this is where I am right now, and you guys are telling me this.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I think that this was so important. Like, we knew when you joined NXT and when you signed, and we always had you in the back of our mind, like, when is she going to start getting some content push behind it? And then you did. You appeared at the Rumble, and you've had your first takeover. And it was just like, yep, she's going in the line right now.
That's awesome.
As soon as we saw her get that push.
Oh, I love you guys for that. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see them in person.
Well, this is going to be the first of many. Can't heal up quickly because we want to get a lot more Chelsea Greens out there.
Oh, it'll be perfect timing. It'll come out right when you do, Chelsea. Be perfect.
Yes, and remember, Chelsea, this is for Majorfest, so don't tell anybody about this yet.
Oh yeah, we got a couple days. You can tell your mom, but that's it.
Yeah,
got it. I'll tell my mom, but I will not tell. I shouldn't even tell my mom. She tells everyone.
Okay.
Keep it a secret, babe.
All right, thank you for
congrats,
joining us, Chelsea.
Thanks, guys.
Babe, can you sell me some lunch, babe?
Yeah, I got you.
Lunch. It's 4:00.
All right. Wow, that's awesome, guys. Thank you.
I love a good broski surprise.
Me too. We always do it on these things.
Yeah,
that was great.
Well, you guys just had your in the time that we're filming this, you guys just released your top 5 figures of the year for 2020, and thank you very much. If memory serves, it was the Ultimate Hollywood for Mark and Broski, and then Legend Warrior, right, for Brian. So I think you're just going to have to name another Mattel. Like, I don't think you're going to have a choice. And it's not going to be Elite. It's not going to be an Ultimate. It's going to have to be a basic. Because that Chelsea Green is going to have to be number 1 on your list next year.
Yeah.
Or, major heat if you don't choose that as number 1.
Right. I'm already thinking now. I need. Okay, so
there won't be one on the shelves in this country. I promise you, because
my God. I gotta have at least 4 mint on card, 4 loose. And that's just for collection purposes. Then you need the backups, the just in cases.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna get.
You gotta keep her to stockpile that.
Are you going to have her sign one for you, Matt?
Yeah, she's definitely going to be in that ringside top 10 right away with that pre-order. I'm going to be ordering using code MAJOR, save 10%. That's right. Oh damn!
Oh man! Wow.
Hell of a reveal.
And I told Matt, I was like, it'd be really great if we could get some reveals from the guys for Majorfest. Hey, ringside gets reveals. Why can't Majorfest get reveals? And he said, no way they're going to give us any figure reveals. No way.
Glass half empty, Matt Cardona.
And look what we just got. So
that was an incredible one. Holy cow.
This was one that I think was it couldn't be revealed anyplace else but here to me.
Right.
This is a major figure family. Chelsea's in the major figure family. So what better place? Who's going to appreciate it more than right here, than everyone watching right here?
Oh, 100%. And she's in the family whether she wants to or not. She's in now.
Basically by default. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah.
All right.
Cool, guys. Is that it for the reveals?
That's all we got today.
Okay, I just wanted to cut you off. I have a question. I was thinking about, talking to you guys today. I was like, what, in the COVID era has been the biggest change for you guys, or what challenges have you guys had to overcome the way things are now and your obstacles at work, and still trying to, obviously really hasn't been that much because Mattel's still making these awesome wrestling figures. But, how can you describe to everyone what, things have been like for you guys?
I know my answer, but you want to go first, Steve?
Let me say my number 2 answer, and then I'll get to a bigger answer in a second, is for a while there, we weren't seeing things sometimes until you guys saw them. Like the Rick Rude, for instance, like you let us know that it was staining, the robe was staining the arms, and we acted quickly and fixed it. Yeah, and the same thing with like Matt Riddle. His arms honestly came out a little bit too short. I never saw it. I never saw it until it hit ringside. So there was a lot of learnings to be had, and we got over some of those hurdles. We were able to fix some things. So that was challenging. Learning, we're in a better place now after going through the ringer a couple times. But the bigger thing for me is just like the struggles of being as creative and collaborating and being with the guys. Like there's nothing like, Rob coming over in the morning and we just, shoot the shit and brainstorm some things like beast mode. That's how, beast mode happened. And running over to Makina and just like toss an idea at him. If we have already something in the pipeline and he has his mindset on something and I have an idea, like the night before I go to him and then, he scrunches up and he's like, gets mad at me. He's like, I hate you because I didn't think of that, and then we do it. So I miss that quite a bit. And it's not the same texting it or sending an email or whatever. It's just not the same. So that's what I want the most. Like, I'm looking forward to getting back to that and being creative with people who love, the industry and love action figures.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that would 100% have been my answer. Especially as creatives, when you're not there to in-person collaborate, like the energy you feed off of each other. You guys are creatives. You know exactly what that's like. It's like, if you can't be around each other, then how are you going to feed off of that excitement? It's really hard to do over text. It's really hard to do over a video call. The ideas, they still flow. But it happens over text or it happens over a phone call. And then I think to tag on for that, just for being on the packaging side, as we were trying to adjust, a lot of this stuff was like, we were seeing digital stuff because they weren't able to mail stuff out. So some of like the packaging errors, whether it be color or copy or the size of thing, like that huge certified authentic call out, which is the first and last time we're going to mention that, it was huge for that first little bit. So we needed to readjust. So now stuff is coming up. It's like a little bit smaller. So we're trying to adjust and not make it as, which is something that we would have caught on an earlier sample. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting back and collaborating with everyone and being able to, there's something when we're in a room together and it's like, okay, we have the sample review and it just feels like, it just feels like a birthday, right? It just feels like Christmas morning. You get to open up all the boxes. You get to really examine all the figures and throw your ideas out there. If you're like have any questions or have any notes of like, is this a little bit off? You can do that. But just being able to hold that figure for the first time, that's like the first time that we see them. They're not production runs, and be able to do that. It's like it's really special, and I think that's something I definitely miss.
Totally, yeah.
Broski?
Well, I don't work for Mattel, so I can't answer the question, Mark.
No, I mean,
oh my God.
Do you have anything?
Well, I mean, I think Mattel has done a great job communicating with the fans. And, we've all been at home, but whether it be through the Comic-Con or Ringside Fest or WWE.com, Mattel has still been giving us these reveals, or Majorfest, still been surprising us with these reveals and giving us the feels, which it's hard to do, online, but that's the world we live in, and you guys are delivering. So kudos to that, because, it's hard to keep things a surprise, especially these days. There's always people, looking for the dirt, looking to spoil the surprise. You guys find ways to make these reveals exciting and to keep them under wraps. And, for instance, for this major Wrestling Figure Podcast Majorfest, it made sense. Or, if it's a Ringside Fest or some WWE.com reveal, and you make them all special, and the more emphasis and, that you put into the importance of a figure, that's the more importance it's going to be to somebody who buys it. And you guys do a great job with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for that. And that's another thing, I miss, like interacting with other collectors at conventions like Access and Comic-Con and all the small ones in between. So, it is an honor that this past year and going into 2021 that we've been doing this and been able to give some people entertainment and distraction and normalcy, the normal cadence of reveals and excitement. So that's been a pleasure and an honor for sure. And the second reason I personally want to do this is hopefully to even if it's just another person like Jeremy and Scott and Ken and Makina inspired me. Like, please, if you're passionate, listen to what we say, and Brian and Matt and Mark here and everyone willing to give you information and join us. Take the steps and join us. I hope this inspires at least one other person, not just the entertainment and collecting and whatnot, but follow your passions.
I agree.
Yeah, super well said there, Steve. I know that sometimes, we get ragged on for Makina mashups or the Dude Gator or something like that. But
they're not all going to be home runs.
No, but we have a lot. Our slugging percentage is really high.
I agree.
And I think that of course WWE is a big public trade company, and so is Mattel. And there's of course the business end, but ultimately remember the core team that works on this brand loves this brand. We love action figures, we love wrestling, and we're lucky enough to be able to put our thumbprint on these figures. And what truly is, I think that we would all agree, a golden age of wrestling figures.
Yeah,
a golden age of action figures in general.
Totally.
And we've got we have our eyes. It's not just like what we're thinking about, what we want, but we've got our eyes open. Our eyes open, our ears open. We listen. We participate. We're very active. Whether it's like on the ringside boards, on the major wrestling figure boards. We really want to make this line as good as it can be for you, for us, and for history of action figures.
Yeah, you guys have become good friends of ours, obviously, and I value that. But I love that this line that I care so much about, and obviously Matt and Mark and so many fans it's in such good hands, and you guys are so passionate, and I think that's what's made it the mega powerhouse that it's been for years. So that's it's really great to know.
I think it's evident too. I think it's obvious that there's people. Yes, it's a business, it's a toy business at the end of the day, but there are fans behind the line making this line thrive. So thank you very much. And Bill, if you're watching, thank you, and everyone at Mattel who's contributing. It's a team effort, and you guys have been really knocking it out of the park. 2020 number one figure we voted was.
There was quite a few in that countdown.
Yeah, there were Mattel WWE action figures. If you don't like it, love it, because it's the best thing going today.
I don't know if we could top that.
I was gonna say, if you make the rules, Steve will break them.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today for Majorfest. The reveal was incredible. Yep. Thank you very much. I might get some bonus points downstairs, so thank you very much for that.
You literally had nothing to do with it.
It's on our. I had nothing to do with it. Zero.
We'll tell her whatever you want, Matt.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
She's not gonna listen to the pod. I'll just
it's your moment to shine. It's your moment to shine.
I'll say, babe, they weren't gonna put you in. I'll do what I have to do. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
But guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We'll have you on again every couple of months or so, maybe or 2 years. We'll have you on again because the fans love you. They know you're fans too, and I think that's why they love you guys and the line. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anytime you guys want, that we're here for you, and thank you.
Yeah, we love the podcast. Love you guys, and looking forward to doing it again shortly. Thanks for having us this time.